Before we begin, I'd like to provide a trigger warning. Today's video addresses the topic of miscarriage and includes some images and clips that may be distressing for some viewers. Please take a moment to consider whether this content is appropriate for you at this time. If you feel that this topic may be difficult, I encourage you to skip this video or return when you feel ready. Your mental and emotional well-being comes first. This is what happened the first time I fell pregnant. Yes, tama ang narinig mo. The first time I fell pregnant was truly thrilling and exciting. Since ito ay Feb's diary, ang diary ko, we'd like to remember this memory and bring awareness and education to those who are unfamiliar or uninformed about the topic. Now, we are sharing our first experience of pregnancy. Loss. After being together for 13 years, dumating kami sa punto ng aming buhay na alam naming it was time to take the next big step. After a long time of thinking and pag-uusap, napagdesisyon na naming subukan na magkaanak. We felt it was the right time. Little did we know, the journey ahead would bring both joy and challenges that would shape both our lives in ways we never imagined. Sa paglipas ng mga buwan, we dedicated ourselves to the journey of starting our family. Nagsimula kaming mag-explore ng iba't ibang paraan para tumaas ang tsansa naming mabuntis. Nag-focus kami sa timing and trying to make healthier choices. Birthday ko bukas, so gusto kong i-treat yung sarili ko ng galo. Kaso lang, I've been 7 days late with my period, so I am going to use one of these. I did this before my period and it was not pregnant, so I peed in a cup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then oh my god! What the f***?
We're gonna have a baby?
Oh my god, my heart!
We're gonna have a baby?
Gagi! Totoo ba yan? Gagi, wag ka mag-message kahit kanino muna. Secret lang. Hala ka, Gagi! Hala! I've been getting cramps a lot in my lower stomach. My breast is very, very sore. I've been peeing more than I usually do. I've just been feeling really tired and have headache and kind of vomiting. Tomorrow is my birthday. I'm gonna be 28 tomorrow. I'm gonna be a dad! If it actually shows how many weeks I am pregnant, then it's gonna be like a birthday present.
I'm gonna be called Daddy.
Actually, I realized that I can use the other pregnancy test as for week indicator any time of the day. So I need to pee again. And that was only like, what, 30 minutes ago? So I'm gonna pee again. That's what it looks like. Oh. And 1001. Oh my god, I'm really pregnant. It really says I'm pregnant. Oh my god, it really says I'm pregnant! It's saying I'm pregnant. It literally says the word P-R-E-G. Pregnant brain, I can't spell. I knew it! We conceived 1 to 2 weeks ago. You know what's funny as well? Because this year, actually, we've been telling people that we are gonna get married like after I graduate, but we have been trying to sort out our civil wedding in the summer. And we also have our wedding rings already.
What's that?
So maybe it's meant to be. But the only problem is I am a nursing student and I'm still in my 3rd year, and next year I still have to do my internship. So hopefully everything will just flow into place. Good morning. I was able to call for a doctor's appointment, so I have an appointment on Friday. So the next few weeks we did our usual routines. Nagtrabaho yung asawa ko and nag-workout, and ako naman nagpunta ng college and nagtrabaho. And the first person I told about this news was my best friend. So we told Laura the news, and she was shook to life. She's very happy and she's very shocked and she couldn't believe it, but I'm so glad that I feel a bit lighter when I told her. We went to the doctor's at 9:30, and the doctor tested me for pregnancy and it is positive. He said estimated that I am actually 5 weeks pregnant. That's a mixture of fats and a 1-month-old baby inside. It's really weird because I never ever had stretch mark in my stomach ever, even when I gained a lot of weight. But this time I see like 3 stretch marks. So today I am 6 weeks pregnant. Today is the 24th of February and it's been a while since I updated you. So I haven't really told anybody at the moment. I haven't told my parents, Angela's parents. The only person I have told is actually my best friend, Laura Irish, because I feel like I need to tell someone who I know will support me. She's going to be the godmother, and not that because my family is not going to support me. I know for a fact they're really excited and will be very happy for me because they've been looking forward to this news. I want to make sure like I do a very good reveal or baby announcement for them. We want to make sure that we have an envelope or scan a photo of the scan, so we still don't have that. And speaking of scan, I finally got like a letter from the hospital of my first scan and blood test and all my fetal assessment stuff, and it's gonna be on the 28th of March. And 28th of March, I'm actually, if I estimated, I would be 11 weeks on the 28th of March, so that's nearly 2 months. I'm still going to college, of course. I'm not thinking of stopping my course or anything. If I can push it, I will push through this course. I just wanted to update you of how I feel lately. To be honest, nothing much that is out of normal. I just feel like there's an extra large tampon stuck in my vagina. Whenever I sit down, especially in class, I'd be like, oh my god, this is so uncomfortable. And then I do have some mild cramps. So nobody is probably going to notice that I am pregnant because my stomach is already big before, because I am quite a big woman. But I feel like I need to start buying some maternity clothes. I'm actually super excited to meet the baby. Like, I'm only 6 weeks and I'm already really excited. Hey, today is the 10th of March and it's 7 o'clock and we just went to the doctor's. Angelo rang earlier because 2 days ago I was having some spotting, like red spotting. It wasn't even brown, and every time I wiped there was like blood in my tissue and a little bit on my underwear. And then yesterday I went to take the day off just to rest, and I was feeling a bit nauseous as well, and I was feeling really tired. And then today I went into college, and late in the afternoon I started seeing blood. So I took a picture of it, and the doctor described it as a very light bleeding, just a very tiny clot, like the same size as this spot right here. And he did tell me to kind of go easy on weightlifting. At work I do some weightlifting, but since I found out I was pregnant, I have been being careful. He took my blood pressure, which was higher than the usual. So he did a urine test and pregnancy test. My pregnancy test came positive and my urine test is a normal. He immediately referred me to an early pregnancy test. So it's going to be tomorrow. We are hoping that we're going to get a call at 10 o'clock tomorrow, hopefully. And we're going to get a scan and hopefully we get to see the baby tomorrow. Very excited. hopefully everything's okay. So today's the next day and it's already about 6:42 and I've been waiting all day for a call to get an early pregnancy scan. Didn't get a call. Kind of sad about that. I'm going back to Bernard because I'm going to work tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning and I'm still bleeding. So further update will be done for you. So today's the 14th of March. It took me quite a while to film this, and to be honest, I felt like I really just wanted to terminate the whole vlog. But I feel that there's going to be a lot of women who might relate to this story or who might be going through the same thing. There's a lot of things that happened over the weekend. Thursday, as I told you, I went to the doctors and the doctor told me to go to Now Doc if I was having heavier bleeding. And he tried to get me an early pregnancy scan on Friday, but on Friday there was no space. I couldn't get a scan or I couldn't get checked, so I left it the way it is, and I was still kind of lightly bleeding on the Friday, but it wasn't as bad. On Friday, Angelo started to get really sick. Mom did an antigen test on him and he was positive in COVID. I was negative in COVID, so Angelo had to isolate himself in one of our guest room in my parents' home. So that was tough as well. So that kind of added to everything I was feeling on Saturday. So on Saturday then, I was working. During the weekend, only one instance where my bleeding was heavy, like it was bright red. It was really shocking, to be honest. And the whole bowl was red, and as soon as I wiped, it was very bright red. So it was a scary experience for me, because I was like, what's happening? Have I lost the baby? And I was crying so much. I didn't have a good day at work as well on that Saturday. I was really emotional, and I think maybe it's the hormones as well. I think so anyway. After I took a shower on Saturday, I wasn't bleeding anymore. It was gone, and then later that evening, like 11 p.m, I started kind of bleeding again, like just very light, but it wasn't like scary. So I was like, if I start having that one moment again where my blood is too much, I would call the doctor. Let me remind you, at this time my mom doesn't know about it at all. My dad was away somewhere and my mom was working at this time, so I was like, if that ever happened and I have to tell mom. And the reason why we are not telling our parents yet, because I still have hope. But then on Sunday, I was lightly bleeding still. That's 5 days of bleeding already. Then on Sunday, Angelo was able to kind of like drive really slowly back to our own home. Mom and dad dropped me and Sophie in this house, which is me and Angelo's place. Angelo's now isolating in our room and I moved into my own room. On Sunday, I was bleeding a lot. I was kind of stressed out because I had to do shopping. I was trying not to lift. I had to make my mom help me lift my groceries because I was afraid that something would happen to the baby, or if it's still a baby. After they left, I fixed the groceries and I peed in the toilet and I had bleeding. Now this time it's like brighter than the light pink bleeding I have. So I called Now Doc. They sent me to A&E, emergency department. This was like 9:30 in the evening. Angelo was sick, but he was like, I'll drive you, even if he was sick. And he had to go back because he didn't have any house keys. I had the house key. Yeah, so I went up there. I was put in the red zone of the emergency department because I was in contact with someone with COVID. They wheeled me into this ward where I will be meeting my gynae. I was waiting there like until like 11 o'clock. I was actually falling asleep in the bed. The gynae comes in and she comes in not introducing herself. She just came in, barged in, didn't even say hello, and sat down right in front of me and started asking me so many questions. Just normal things, you know, your medical histories, what's wrong today, you know, all that. And then I explained what happened. She then made me lie down and she was gonna scan my belly. First of all, she asked me to put in the tissue inside my trousers, and so I did. And I seen her going like this. She rolled her eyes at me and I'm like, okay. I was feeling very uncomfortable, and she was like, oh, you need to empty your bladder, okay? Clean your belly and go to the toilet, empty your bladder. So I emptied my bladder. She used this item right here, and I was like, oh my god. She quickly kind of explained to me what that was, and she said it's not gonna hurt the baby, and she just shoved it in my vagina. I wasn't even ready for it, so it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. It was not a nice feeling at all. It was very, very, very painful. And every time she kind of like clicks this thing, I think it opens up my coochie. It was very painful. Like I was like holding on to my hands like this, like really tightly. Like every time she turns the tool, I could feel the edges, and I was like, oh my god, it's so painful. That she just stuck some like a stick in it. I don't know, she was taking some samples of something, I don't know. She was like, it's not easy, but we have to do this. We have to know what's happening here. And she did an ultrasound, and I could see, like I was looking at the screen, and I could see that there was no baby there. She asked me, are you sure you're pregnant? Because there's no baby here. Because if you're 9 weeks pregnant, there should be something in there. There should be a fully formed fetus in there. And I was like, yeah. And she asked the nurse that was beside me, and she was like, did the pregnancy test came up positive? And the nurse said yes. And I was just like looking at her. She was looking at my fallopian tubes and stuff, and she goes that my right fallopian tube or my right ovaries is okay, it's good, but she didn't say anything about my left side. All I see is a hole in my uterus. She was saying that it looks like it's just a 4-week or 5-week pregnancy, and it looks like this. I'll show you this. And she was like, maybe the date of your last period was wrong. All I see is like a sack without a baby in it. That's how she described it. The gynae just took my bloods. Then she struggled taking my bloods because it looks like I had no blood at all. Stuck so many needles there, and she stuck 2 needles right here, and then she finally got one from here. They said that they're gonna call me today just to see my HCG level is now Monday. I can't go in. I'm caring for Angelo. I literally had the longest morning trying to prep all the meal for the whole week, and I have a headache. I don't feel comfortable. We really need to tell my parents. I'm afraid that if they don't know and something happens to me, they'll be very, very angry at my fiance. I'm still not telling them because I still have hopes that this pregnancy will go through and it's going to be a successful one. And I'm just praying that it would be, so we could do the nice, happy announcement. But if it doesn't go through and I go through miscarriage, then we will tell them. But how to tell them is the question. It is 15th of March. Yesterday evening at 10 p.m. I got the result of my hormones. They gave me the level of my HCG, and to be honest, that's just the baseline. They got another blood test for me today. My blood test is showing that I have lower HCG. That means I'm going through miscarriage. But also today I have been bleeding a lot more than usual. It's not like the same level as my normal period. It's still kind of like period, but a little much more heavier than yesterday, and I do have a little bit more of blood clots. Today I also told my parents that I am pregnant. I forgot to vlog it. I wish I vlogged it. How I did it was I asked them, I have good news and bad news, which one would you like to hear? My mom said she wanted to hear the good news and dad wanted to hear the bad news. So I went on to show the good news first, and I showed them the pregnancy test that is positive, and my mom was like, is that test negative? And then I was like, no, it's positive. And she goes, how is that good news? She explained to me earlier on that she thought it was a test, which is kind of funny because I understand that part, because a lot of people are just doing antigen tests at the moment. Yeah, and then I was like, so you're not gonna be happy if I was pregnant? She feels like it's such a waste that I'd be pregnant and I have to like stay back for another year, and I'm nearly finished my nursing, and that's the only thing that she was worried about, that I have to go back and do another year of nursing because I was pregnant and I was having a baby. But she said that she's actually very happy and she cannot wait to have her grandchildren. Okay, so I had to change camera because my camera, the other camera, just died.
Yeah, so it was the same with dad. Dad is actually very happy about it. He was like, I thought we were gonna have a grandchild. My mom had lectured me so much about I should have been resting, I should have been doing this because the baby isn't holding too well. She only means well. So they went up here to drop me off to the hospital, and they actually were the one to tell me that if I needed anything, I can just call them. Angelo is respecting my decision to not say anything because it's really overwhelming for me to know that everybody knows, and I just don't feel comfortable about that. I'm glad that Angelo's respecting that, and it's not going to help my emotions at the moment, especially with my hormones. You know, my pregnancy hormones is still there despite me bleeding and stuff. The doctor hasn't really confirmed anything to me yet. I am talking as if I have already gone through a miscarriage and it's not even the case, or that's not even what the doctor has said to me yet, but I'm already expecting the worst. But I'm still continuing on to trying to eat healthy, but I've switched into this mindset of, you know, from eating healthy for my baby, and now I'm like eating healthy for my own health because I am bleeding a lot. I don't want to end up like losing so much blood, and my way of treating myself from this situation is to eat a lot of food that has a lot of iron and having a lot of rest.
Midnight, I started to feel severe cramps, and pagpunta ko ng toilet, dumudugo ako very heavily. So, tinawagan ko yung hospital, and they advised me to go to the emergency department and tell the staff that the ward already knows that I was coming in. And yung asawa ko, dinrive ako sa emergency department despite being sick with the coves. At this point, ang nag-worry lang ako sa asawa ko who had to drive kahit na sobrang sakit ng ulo niya. Ayaw din niya mag-take ng painkillers kasi he's saving it for later. Ang tigas ng ulo. Habang naghihintay ako sa reception ng emergency department, all alone, I was squatting in line as the department was busy and there were no seats left. I suddenly felt an intense and sharp, almost relentless cramps in my lower abdomen. Nakaramdam ako ng solid like jelly that passed through, para siyang size ng small fist, which akala ko blood clot lang. But it felt like a gush, followed by relief. Agad-agad ako tumakbo sa emergency department's toilet to check, and to my horror, lumabas na ang gestational sac. Even though I knew the pregnancy wasn't viable, the physical passing of the sac felt like the final, undeniable moment of loss. I felt a rush of grief, sadness, then numbness.
So I think I haven't really updated you since the actual day of my miscarriage. So I've been resting a lot and I've been trying to gain my energy since the day of the miscarriage. It's been 9 days since I think the day of the miscarriage. So today is the 24th of March 2022. I just wanted to give you a an actual story of what happened on the day of my miscarriage. March 17, 12 a.m. in the morning, I woke up and I was in severe pain. I was having really bad cramps under my lower abdomen. And I woke up and I went to the toilet and I was bleeding a lot, like a lot of bleeding, a lot of blood clots. I was like having some kind of like diarrhea at the same time. So I sat there for almost an hour contemplating whether I should call the doctor or the gynecologist, or I don't know who I'm supposed to call at the time. I couldn't think, but I decided to ring the gynae ward, and they said that I could either come in by ambulance or I could come in with my partner who had COVID. I chose to be dropped off by Angelo because Angelo insisted. I then went to the emergency department and I was waiting in one of the lines. You know, I went up to the receptionist and they put me in the system. And so I was standing up while I was lining up because there was no seats available at the time in the yellow zone, which is like the zone where I was put, even though I told them that I was in contact. And while I was standing there, I was in so much pain, so I squatted down. I was squatting for a while, and then next thing I know, I felt something come out of me, and it was the sack. I ran to the toilet. As soon as I wiped myself with a tissue, I seen a sack, like a big, like it was like you can hold it with your hand like this. And I washed it, and I saw like a clear tissue that looked like a sack, so it was circle. So I knew that was a gestational sack. And yeah, I broke down in the toilet in the emergency and I cried, because what else can I do? That's when I realized, you know what, this is not going as planned. It was still heartbreaking, even though it was a blighted ovum. It was still heartbreaking. We've invested a lot of time, invested a lot of emotions and thoughts about the whole thing, thinking that we were gonna have a successful one, and it didn't go the way we planned. So it's really heartbreaking for both of us. So after that, when I saw the sack, I wrapped it in the tissue. I was gonna keep it, but then I was like, maybe I should keep it and then give it to the doctor if they want to see it. I still had a little bit of hope, even though I thought of the worst. I was still hoping that maybe that was just something else. I still have that little hope in me, but no. So eventually I went back out and lined up, and I was still bleeding quite a lot. I could feel the flow of my blood just flowing hardcore down there. And eventually the porter called me and wheeled me in again to the gynae ward. And I was waiting in the ultrasound room for quite some time. I think 30 minutes I was waiting. And then a doctor came in. Then this time I had like an amazing doctor. And she was very gentle, very empathic. She was just an amazing, very gentle doctor. I'm so grateful that she was a doctor at the time that I was going through that. I can't remember their names actually, because at the time I was just not myself. I was just not listening anymore, because I was just in a panic. I was scared, I was in pain. Whoever they were, I'm really grateful that they were the healthcare practitioners that I was with. She did like an ultrasound for me first, and then she went on to open me up with that. And then she saw that I was still passing a lot of tissue in. And she took out this big, huge forceps. It was so long. So she opened me up, but she was, you know, she was very apologetic. She knows that it's sore. And she pulled it out, and I could see how big it was. It was like this big. And then she asked me if I wanted to see it. And I was like, no, I can see it from the distance, and it's humongous. So they put that in a sample bottle or something just to be sent to the lab and be tested. It was after she pulled that big tissue out of me, my blood was just flowing like Niagara Falls. So everything was just coming out, and the more it came out, the more relief I felt. They told me that they would prefer that I would stay for the night to see how my bleeding would go. So I'm here in the hospital, and finally they're giving me fluids at the moment, and they're monitoring what comes out of my uterus. And the nurse that was here they were very supportive and very caring. And I'm glad that they're the one caring for me. So hopefully the people or the nurses in the morning shift would be the same. So I've never been cannulated before. They also told me that I need to fast in the morning just in case I need to go for a DNC. DNC is like you have to go to surgery and they clean up your uterus, which I didn't really want because I'm scared of being asleep in an environment that I'm not familiar with. And I know it's a safe environment, but I just hate the thought of somebody like doing my insides. I did ask if it's possible I could do medication management, and they gave me that option. They gave me my own room. It was an ensuite room, which I'm so grateful. It's probably because I was in contact with COVID. That's why. It was very nice because I had my own privacy and I was going in and out of the toilet the whole night. To be honest, I slept at 5 a.m. The cannula is quite painful. I've never been admitted for anything before. This is the first time, and it's quite traumatizing. So I don't know if I'm ever gonna try for another baby. We'll see, maybe in the future. So for tonight, I'm just gonna go to sleep and see if I can go to sleep. It's currently 4 a.m. in the morning, and I better get some sleep. I woke up quite early as well because they had to change my fluid bag. I'm still having some cramps, but not too much. I think I can handle the cramps. I'm on my second bag now. And then I woke up in the morning, my other hand was sore where the cannula was, and I did tell them that as well, so they took it out, and eventually I got my ultrasound. I still had quite a big amount of tissue that was in my uterus at the time, so they gave me the first dose of my medication that helps me to pass out the tissue.
To stay within YouTube's guidelines and just playing it safe, I won't be naming any specific medications, but if you know, you know. And as always, talk to a medical professional if you have any questions.
And then, yeah, they gave me breakfast then. And then, so I went home then same day, and Angelo was the one who collected me as well. And I felt fine, you know, I wasn't in pain anymore the next morning. I had like slight cramps, but it wasn't too bad. But I was bleeding a lot. When I got home, I even managed to like cook us our dinner or our food for the week. You know, I was able to walk up down the stairs, but I did feel some weakness in me. So eventually, like 7 o'clock in the evening then, my stomach was very painful. Like I had really bad cramps as if I was having labor. And I passed out a tissue, which was humongous. It was like nearly the size of my palm. That I passed that out, and the relief after I passed that out was amazing. And I've been bleeding quite a while, for a few days now since that happened, but as time goes on, the bleeding became a little bit more lighter, but I do have a little bit of cramping. And today I have been feeling lightheaded, like I feel weak, I feel like my world is going around sometimes whenever I get up too fast. And today I had my ultrasound in the hospital, and I got to meet one of the doctors. She was trying to be gentle because she knows I've been going through a lot of probing for the past few weeks. She saw that there was a little bit more in my uterus. Yeah, there was still a little bit there, mixed of blood clots and some tissues in there. So the doctor came up and she gave me another dose of the same medication to pass the tissue. They also got blood tests for me because I was telling them I feel lightheaded, and they wanted to know if I was having any infection, which I hope I don't. So that's what I got, and then I got sent home. I went to college like normal. It is what it is. So I have my tablets. Weird about the tablets is that it makes my mouth feel sore and my throat feels sore. The first time I took it, my hands were very itchy. I do have some bit of cramping happening, and I'm hoping that amount of tissue in my uterus would just flush out. I just need it to be gone and over, and I just hope that it would be over. My mom did recommend that I should get DNC so that my uterus is completely clean, and it's going to be faster for me to get pregnant the next time I want to. But I really do not. I'm too afraid for surgical, so I didn't choose that. But if I have to do it after this medication, I'm taking it because I just want this whole thing over and done with. Hopefully tonight it'll be over.
But that was wishful thinking. It was far from over.